What's up, guys? My name's Dave.
And I'm Tommy.
And there's a very confused Tommy as we are coming live from Segue City. You would not believe how many times we just did that.
We've got the big live from Segue City this week.
Yeah, well, I finally remembered to do it. Oh, guys, you'll have no idea how many times we just did that. We've had a hell of a time getting this thing set up this week. It's been hell. Yeah,
well, firstly, we should start off by apologising for no last week's episode. That was all on me. I'm so sorry. I disappeared from the face of the earth for a few days there, as Dave explained in the Captain's Call.
Yeah.
So apologies for that. I'm very, very sorry.
I'm sure everyone can forgive you. I can't, but like, no, but you actually made a live apology in the Captain's Quarters for anyone who missed it, like live on air.
Yes,
I received text after
I was humiliated in front of everyone. Thanks for that. I did see it. Thanks, Dave.
However, though you did come back in spectacular fashion as whoever watched the Captain's Quarters saw me reading on my phone. We've actually got an announcement to do with Segue City, which I figured now actually.
Oh, I saw that tease. I don't know how everyone survived with such an awful tease that you gave them. That was horrible.
Well, I was really tempted to say it then, but I didn't want to say it and then have to retract my statement. But anyway, since how it has come up, for those of you who enjoy Segue City but don't necessarily have 2.5 hours as last week's happened to run on for, you don't necessarily have that much time to sit in front of the computer. Thanks to Tommy himself, we now have Segue City live, not necessarily live, but is now available for download on iTunes. So for any of you who wanted to listen to Segue City but don't necessarily have 2.5 hours to sit in front of a computer, you can now download it for free on iTunes, just simply titled Segue City, and you can put it on your iPad, your phone, your tablet, what have you, and listen to it out and about. So there you go. That's made me very happy at least.
Yeah, and me. Yeah, so you just whack it in your pocket, not worrying about that darn YouTube app and closing whenever you lock your phone. You can just play it in the background now.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's something I don't know about you, but that's something I like to do. There's quite a lot of things I want to listen to, but I don't have necessarily 2-3 hours to sit in front of my computer. But when if I'm on a half-hour walk somewhere, that's perfect. Listen on the way there, listen to the way back. It's absolutely perfect. So yeah, go to iTunes, type in Segue City under podcasts, download them. They're all there for free ever since episode 1 up to episode 7 now, and obviously from now on as well. They're all available on iTunes. So yes, feel free to help yourself. But talking about segues, we have the segue segment to answer up from last week. So a little reminder for anyone who forgot. Last week we had to get from Matthew McConaughey. I've been practicing saying his name. And Martin Freeman. So, Tommy,
you're getting good at it.
I know, I've been practicing. I'm pretty happy about that. But how many? How have you managed to segue those two particular actors together?
Well, I have done it very well this week, I think. Not to toot my own horn, even though my horn is well and truly tooted. Do you want to hear it now, or do you want to hear how many I did it in?
Oh no, read them out one at a time, and we'll find out. It's suspense.
Okay, so starting with Matthew McConaughey.
Yep.
He was in The Wolf of Wall Street,
yes,
which was directed by Martin Scorsese,
mm-hmm,
who also directed Hugo, which featured, this is something we're going to be talking about later, but which featured Christopher Lee, who recently passed away, unfortunately, who was in The Hobbit with Martin Freeman. Done. How quick was that?
So I might count that wrong. Was that 5 or 6?
That was 5.
So you went Wolf of Wall Street, director.
Yep.
Who did? So what? So run through it again for me. Sorry, I'm missing the step.
Matthew McConaughey was in Wolf of Wall Street, which was directed by Martin Scorsese, who also directed Hugo, which starred Christopher Lee, who was in The Hobbit with Martin Freeman.
So that's 5. Yes, well done. Right. So we are, this week again, I think we may end up on a bit of a tie, because I had Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, Dave.
I know. Matthew McConaughey, who was in Wolf of Wall Street, who also had John Bernthal, who was in The Walking Dead, with Andrew Lincoln, who was in Love Actually, which had Martin Freeman.
Oh, that was a bit different. Yes. I like that.
See, when I was trying to figure this out in my head, I went a different route, and then I thought I had it in a really decent amount of steps, and then realised I linked it to completely the wrong person. Originally, I thought of Matthew McConaughey in a True Detective with Woody Harrelson, and then I was trying to link him through, and eventually I got to Zombieland, and I was like, which starred Woody Harrelson? And I was like, damn it, I've linked to the wrong person. completely messed it up. I was so excited as well because I thought, oh, that was so little steps. But yeah, so yet again we've tied again. What a shame. Like one of us is going to have to take the lead at some point. Right now we're 1 for 1 each. But however, you guys, as always, took to the comment sections and gave us your thoughts and opinions. I'm trying to link Matthew McConaughey and Martin Freeman together, and the one who stood out for us was... I've lost your comment. Oh, there it is. Bob Titty, who linked, and I'm more impressed with the spelling of Matthew McConaughey whatever, which I thought was very fitting based on last week's podcast. But you had Matthew McConaughey was in Dallas Buyers Club with Jared Leto, who was in Fight Club with Edward Norton, who was in The Incredible Hulk with Robert Downey Jr., who was in Civil War with Martin Freeman. So... very well done, very well done. Still was not just able to beat my Tommy's 5 with your 7, but it was still very impressive. It was one of the better links that we saw in the comment section. So congratulations for Bob Titty for having the... I hope I'm saying your name right, by the way. If that's not how you say it.
The poor guy every time.
The thing is, if that's not actually how you say your name, I'm going to keep saying it that way because it's just I think it's kind of hilarious, and I have the maturity of a 7-year-old. So
Bob Tai has been going through school all fine up until now, and he finally comments on some YouTube video, and then the guy reads out his name and ridicules him in front of everyone. Well, I'm sorry, Bob Tai. I'm sorry.
I am hoping and praying your name is actually Bob Titty. But, yes. So anyway, with that being said and done, we have the Segue segment for you guys next week, ready and good to go. You have to try and link in 6 steps or less Forrest Whitaker and Christopher Lee. So, and also, as always, with this Segue segment, it's a little hint of the stuff we're going to be talking about later on in the podcast. And for those who maybe don't like the brain tease, don't necessarily want to sit here and rack your brains trying to link 2 people together, we also have a question if you guys want to answer. And that's from E3 was recently announced. Again, some more stuff we're going to be talking about later. What was your favourite announcement from E3? What was the thing that caught your attention most? So either try and link Forrest Whitaker and Christopher Lee together, or you can answer the question of what was your favourite announcement at E3. A little something for you to do, I guess, while you're listening to us to ramble on. But anyway, with that, where should we? Where do you want to start, Tommy? Where should we kick this thing off with?
Oh, I don't know. We've got so much to talk about this week. We could really start anywhere you like, Dave. The floor is yours.
Well, do you know what? If we can start off anywhere, I think we might as well start off with something that's been pretty big to me. There's been quite a few announcements that have been pretty big, but it's one we've been talking about several times. So I think we should really start with that, and that is the fact news that's been coming out of Spider-Man. For weeks and weeks and weeks, we've been saying about how Isa Butterfield has pretty much got the job in the bag. It's going to be his, but now it has came out that Isa Butterfield is no longer in the running to play Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is huge. Like, compared to all the rumours that have been dropping over, the last couple of months? It's been months we've been hearing this sort of stuff, and now apparently he's no longer in the running. It's down to, I think, 3 or 4 other actors.
But I believe 2 other actors, and apparently Marvel wants one, Sony wants the other, and that's been a bit of an arm pull for both these guys. And I don't know, I think maybe studios are throwing their weight a little bit. No one really knows who does get the final say, and it's causing quite a bit of drama behind the scenes, which is why it's taking so long. But we should be getting the announcement any day now, because come July, Spider-Man needs to start shooting. So
yeah, exactly. Wasn't it originally stated that he was supposed to start shooting in June originally, but obviously it then got pushed back to July due to the problems with scheduling and casting and stuff. So at least the actors we might as well say the actual actors that are still up for the role before we carry on talking about this. But the ones here, at least that it states here on Heroic Hollywood, are saying that it's Tom Holland, Charlie Plummer, and Matthew Lintz. Although I do believe there was also somebody else who was in the running. Whether they've narrowed it down even further since then, I don't know. But they're the 3. Obviously, as you said, like Marvel is more looking at one and Sony's more looking at the other. But the 3, I believe, are still actually in the running. So as we say, that this could change so much. This was originally announced about a week or so ago. Yeah, exactly a week ago was when this article was first posted. So since then, anything could have changed. We don't know. This stuff moves so fast. But yeah, they're the 3 actors that are at least listed to still wanted to go forward. So. It is, I don't know, like, I don't know how you... Sorry, carry on.
No, it's fine. Well, I was just wondering, of the 3, I only thought 2, but yeah, I can see the 3 now. But of these, who do you know
What was that? Sorry.
of these new like cast? Who did you most want to see as Spider-Man?
Well, the thing is, I was so ready for Isa Butterfield, especially after like, a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about it, and you posted like some more recent pictures of what he looks like and stuff like that. I was so ready for Isa Butterfield. So it's one of those things that once they've gone and said like, oh yeah, this is who it's gonna be, blah 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 blah, and then they take him away and then show some new people. It's hard to get behind any of them because you've already got it set in your mind that for months and months and months you're like, okay, this is Spider-Man. This is who we're gonna be seeing on the big screen. So when then he gets taken away, it's kind of hard to fall behind anyone. But I don't know, like I've gone back and forth between looking at these. Right now, I'm thinking probably Tom Holland. I mean, a lot of people have been saying Tom Holland.
Yep.
A lot of people have been getting behind him. And I'm just, this is based, I haven't seen any of these in an acting capacity. So based just purely on looks, I don't know. Like, Matthew Lintz looks far too young, as far as I'm concerned. I know they're looking for a young Spider-Man, but he looks far too young. So, I don't know. I could see Charlie Plummer, but I don't know. Like, just Tom Holland just seems, I don't know. He just seems like he'd fit the role better, I guess. What about you, Tommy? I mean, who are you?
Well, I feel like I said because Tom Holland was in the list when it was like 5 actors a while ago. I feel like I said this then. I maybe have to listen back to an old episode to find out for sure. But I'm pretty sure Tom Holland was on one of my list of people that I really like because of his acting ability. But actually, I know I've mentioned Geekspace a few times on here before. But I wrote one of the first reviews I ever wrote for that site was for a film called The Impossible, which was about the Boxing Day tsunami in 2004. And Tom Holland was in that, and it was one of mainly his only big film role. He's not done much other than that, and he was fantastic in it. Completely stand out. He held his own next to some amazing talent in that film, and that alone has made me, I wrote in my review like specifically about Tom Holland and how much he stood out to me for a young unknown actor. So now for him to be coming up, 3 years later, 2 years later for this role, I'm excited to see maybe him get it. And apparently it's hold on, I did just lose it a second here. Right, Marvel wants Plummer apparently, and wants Holland. So that's apparently the arm pull going on there of who wants who. But I've only of the actors there, I've only ever seen Tom Holland act, so that's why I can so strongly attest for him. But he does kind of look the part.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, and I remember reading this in the comment section as well, and I couldn't help but agree that they were saying like, oh, Marvel wants Tom Holland and Sony really wants Charlie Plummer, and they're butting heads. And it's like, someone put in the comments, Sony, just listen to Marvel. Like, have you not learned anything? Like, the fact that their first 3 Spider-Man films obviously were massive blockbuster hits. Like, they're blockbuster box office hits. Like, they were massive successes, but eventually sort of went downhill, especially with the third Spider-Man, obviously. And Amazing Spider-Man, despite the fact that I quite enjoyed them, did not do very well when especially Amazing Spider-Man 2. And that, like, even that leaked email from Sony to Marvel, they were literally asking Marvel for help. It's one of the main reasons they've done this deal together as well. So, like, they're working together now, and yet still they're saying, no, we want this actor. And it's like, Marvel has had this just unprecedented success with their movies, and yet they're trying to tell Marvel that no, the actor we want for it's better. You would have thought that if you bumped head and said, we want Charlie Plummer, and then Marvel goes, we want Tom Holland, we'll be like, fair enough, go with Tom Holland then. Like, it's just like...
It's the other way around.
Is it? I thought...
Sony want Tom Holland, Marvel want Plummer.
Oh, fair enough then. Like, despite the fact that I want... See, there you go. It's perfect example. That's actually a perfect example. Like, I personally think Tom Holland looks better for the role, but if Marvel thinks Charlie Plummer's going to do better, fair enough, go with Charlie Plummer then. Like, I know it sounds silly because... You are?
I will say, while a lot of people aren't fans, again, while a lot of people aren't fans of The Amazing Spider-Man, I am with you. I thought they were good, fun films. I still like the casting in it. I thought the casting was great. I loved Andrew Garfield. I mean, I did think he was kind of too good looking for Spider-Man, but he was the coolest guy in New York, as I'm sure I've said before. But you know what? I still like enjoyed that casting, and I think Sony can still cast a film.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't totally throw that off, and especially if it is a collaborative project, I'm okay with Sony having an input. But you know, I think I'm just being biased because I do really want Tom Holland for this role over Plummer. But you know, we'll see. I'm sure like they're the ones looking at the screen tests. They've got footage of both of them reading the same lines, so I'm sure they're both either seeing one thing and arguing about that. But at the end of the day, I'm happy that we're kind of getting this level of dedication to a casting and not just throwing someone in there because they need someone. They are taking the time to choose the right Peter Parker. And again, you being the biggest Spider-Man fan that I know, I'm sure that you're happy with that also.
Yeah, you see, that's the thing. It's not. I'm not just sitting there going, "I'll just do whatever Marvel says." Like as you say, it is a back and forth, and like I agree with completely. Like I like the casting for Amazing Spider-Man. Like I thought they cast a great Gwen Stacy, a great Harry Osborn, and a great Spider-Man as well. Like anything to do with his character isn't Andrew Garfield's acting ability. It's for the most part the writing, the script. Like they created that character for him. Like if I'm sure if they gave Andrew Garfield the role of Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they could completely change the way he plays Spider-Man, and he'd still do just as good. Like I think quite often, if someone doesn't like a character, they blame the actor, and it's not always like the actor's fault. Yes, they're the one who's portraying that character, but then they also are getting direction from I don't know, directors, producers, what have you, the writers. Like they are, for all intents and purposes, reading a script and acting out a scene. So but then we're saying
Yeah.
that as well. It's like I do say like I agree that Sony are doing a good job with the casting as well. But I just think to myself like if you're butting heads Sony and Marvel together, they're butting heads about who they actually want. I would just think to myself one of the main reasons you're working together with Marvel right now is because your films didn't do good on your own. And whereas they did do a good job with the casting, I would still take what Marvel have said to heart. I mean, if they really think Tom Holland's better for the role, then I'd be happy to see Tom Holland. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't exactly be upset to see Charlie Plummer either. Like, the more I'm looking at the photos, I can see either one of them taking the role and probably doing quite well. But just on appearances, I don't know, I can see Tom Holland having it more. But I just feel like it just seems like right off the bat, like before a Spider-Man film has even been created, like they haven't even cast Spider-Man, and Sony are already going, no, 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 we want to do it this way. And I'm just thinking, like, how's this relationship going to work if you can't even cast Spider-Man and agree? Like, I just feel like one of the whole reasons they're working with Marvel is because their films weren't doing well on their own, and like right off the bat they're already going, no, we want to do it this way. It's just like,
Although to play devil's advocate here, yeah, to play devil's advocate, I will say, I think it is kind of good that we are getting these disagreements almost because at the end of the day, Marvel are knocking it out of the park lately. You know, as you know, it's hit after hit after hit. But eventually, that's gonna stop working. And there is a collaboration there as well. Because let me use Star Wars as an example, because obviously I love Star Wars and I'm going to use Star Wars as an example wherever I can. The original 3 Star Wars films are fantastic, and that George Lucas was heavily involved and he had a lot of collaboration. And then when he came back to do the other ones, because the first ones were such a huge success, everything he asked, everything he suggested, anything that ever came out of his brain, everyone just said yes. And then we got 3 awful, awful, awful prequel films. So I don't think Sony listening to Marvel saying yes to every single thing they say is necessarily a good or a bad thing. But I think it's important that they are still butting heads and they are still saying, well, we do think this and we do think that, because there are creative people with talent still at Sony. So I do like that they're not just blindly signing and saying yes, and because it's important to a lot of people over there, more than just a financial business venture. The same way these characters are important to me and you, these characters are important to people working at Sony as well. And I think in that regard it's good that they are still having arguments about it. It's good that there is still that collaboration and not just yes, whatever you want, Marvel.
Yeah. And you know what, like listening to you say that as well, like I feel I'm not necessarily going to retract what I just said, but maybe tone it down a little bit, because what you actually said, that's a good point. Like Yeah, at one point I'm thinking to myself, like, on the first hurdle they're already disagreeing, but then at the same time this is a massive hurdle. Like, this is not just who's going to be playing Spider-Man,
Yeah.
this is who's going to be playing this massive flagship character. Let's face it, this is the biggest character they've introduced in Marvel in a long time. This is arguably one of the most popular superheroes in Marvel Comics. Like, it was one of the first, as they say, like back in God knows however long ago, it's one of the first superheroes that first got teenagers to relate to superheroes. Before then, they were gods or super soldiers or billionaires. Like, that was the first superhero that kids could relate to, and it's still to this day, as they say, arguably one of the most popular superheroes. So I kind of retract a little bit of what I said, that they're already disagreeing at this first hurdle, but it is a huge hurdle. Like, this guy not only acting capabilities,
Absolutely.
but also long term, will he be able to carry this role for years to come in the future? Like that's like they could say, for example, just for our argument's sake, say before we go into actually talking about what happened with Isa Butterfield, I just realised we actually haven't. But like for all
No,
we
we
know.
will.
For all we know, like say they could eventually agree that, just for argument's sake, Tom Holland is better for the role, but he doesn't have the long-term schedule that maybe Charlie Plummer does. So then in that aspect, I'd be like, well, in that case, go with Charlie Plummer. Like, yeah, Tom Holland, you might feel Tom Holland's better for the role, but if Charlie Plummer can guarantee work it for the next 4 years, and there's a possibility they might have to recast with Tom Holland, then obviously I'd say go with Charlie Plummer. Like, it's not just that you can't. I suppose that they've got so many different aspects they have to look at. Scheduling, what future films they already have planned, can they fit them in for 4 years? Like, I suppose I can understand why it's taken so long to cast, because
I think it's also it's not necessarily all the stuff, although it is very much so all the stuff on screen. There's also the element of what happens off screen, and I think Sony definitely, again, now talking about the Isa Butterfield thing, Sony having the recent leaks, as you mentioned earlier, this information's going to be important to them. And with Isa talking about what he spoke about on Reddit, which maybe he shouldn't have, and things like that, which may have now cost him his, the job of a lifetime, a career maker, which he may now have lost. I think Sony may be looking into, maybe is Tom or Charlie better suited for that side of things and dealing with that kind of fame, because these guys are both under 20 years old. It's going to absolutely change their lives. This isn't just getting a role in a fairly decent film. This is becoming a character in one of the biggest franchises of our generation and of this century. I think it's huge in and out of the movie universe. So
yeah,
I think it's important that they do get the right person, not just as an actor, but as a person, and if they can take it.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, it's exactly it. They're gonna have to. Their life is already like both of them are already to a certain extent established actors. As child actors, both of them had a decent amount of quite popular roles. So, like, it's understandable they've already had to deal with a certain amount of fame. But this is going to rocket them into superstardom. Like, they're going to be up there with Robert Downey Jr., like Mark Ruffalo, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans. Like, they're going to be at Scarlett Johansson. Like, they're going to be up there with the A-listers. So, and at such a young age, you don't want them pulling a Miley Cyrus, especially when they're headlining what is, for the most part, not a child, it's not a franchise aimed at children, but they've got a huge young audience, the Marvel movies, so they can't have someone who's essentially going to be a role model go off the rails like that. And then be like, John, should we actually go into talking about what happens with Isa Butterfield? Because I was going to say, if he hasn't even got the role yet and he's already started doing stuff that is disagreeable to Marvel and Sony, then God knows what would happen years down the line when he's established and like he's locked in as the role and can kind of do whatever he wants. So, but yeah, I feel like you might know a little bit more about this than I do. I know what happened, but I don't know the ins and outs of actually what was said and what was done. Do you know a little bit more?
I don't think many people do, to be honest with you. I think a lot of it is hearsay, screenshots, things like that, because wherever these comments were, they were taken down very, very, very quickly. But obviously, nothing stays hidden and nothing gets deleted from the internet for good. So
no, I mean, if
keep them nude pics off there, guys.
Well, I was going to say, because if Isa Butterfield had replied to one of my comments, the odds are whoever he replied to screen captured that straight away. So, like...
Absolutely.
But, yeah, so basically, for anyone who doesn't know, what happened was it was rumoured and speculated, and most possibly could be true, that Isa Butterfield was... I heard two different things. One, bragging to his friends, and another one was answering questions on Reddit in a Spider-Man... I think it was either a Spider-Man subreddit or just regarding Spider-Man and his role within the franchise. And obviously, since how it hasn't been confirmed that he's got the role, and maybe obviously at that particular point he hadn't actually been offered the role yet, like we don't know. But due to reasons of those nature, that it's been rumoured that that's why Isa Butterfield has now had the role retracted. But as I say, it's one of those things that I think is always going to be rumoured. It's never going to be confirmed. But everyone's sort of just going along the lines of, yeah, that's what happened. But which is just, I don't know. It's just so. I know he's young, but it's such a stupid thing to do. Like as we were just saying, like this is a role that he's going to prepare you into.
It's cost him his career.
Yeah, it's like obviously he's still going to be an actor. Like he's still going to go get jobs and stuff. But this was the film. Like this is that film that makes you break out as a star. Like you were going to have this role until your early to mid 20s. Like you were going to be Spider-Man. Like it seems so stupid just to like risk throwing that away just to answer like what could have been trolls, could have been just asking questions, they could have been trolling. Like I don't know what the nature of the comments was he was apparently replying to, but it just seems like such a waste of someone who was potentially going to be so right for the role as well.
It's not just that he lost the role of Spider-Man, because we've had two Spider-Mans before, and it's not necessarily made made their career necessarily. I mean, where's Tobey Maguire now? But he was going to be Spider-Man that fights side by side with the Avengers, and that is a feat that no one could ever have taken away from him, and that is now gone because he got a bit cocky, maybe a bit silly, just a bit loose lips, sink ships in the war, and apparently lose your jobs on Reddit. So.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing is like, regardless of a possible, all the possible Spider-Man sequels that we've heard about, like the 4 film deals and stuff like that, like disregarding all of that, you get this role, you are guaranteed one Spider-Man film, Civil War, Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2. They are all going to be blockbuster films. Like, they're going to be massive films. Like, and you are guaranteed to be a part of all 4 of them. Like, regardless of all the extra films you're going to get in your solo movies as the main character, like. It just seems like such a waste. Such a waste. But who knows? We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. For all we know, that could not be the reason. Maybe there was another reason and they've just used that as the excuse not to cast him. Like, we don't know. As we say, it is just rumours, but it just seems and it's such a slap in the face as well, because it's one of those things that because we knew, at least as the rumours were saying, that they were heavily looking at Isa Butterfield, we know whoever they cast now is second choice. We know whoever it is they cast, but they might do a fantastic job, but we know whoever it is they cast he's good, but he's not the guy we were initially looking for. So.
Yeah, but to that I say Hugh Jackman was second choice for Wolverine.
Well, yeah, I was just about to go into start saying all that as well, because I think I mentioned it like my captain's quarters as well, that I said that obviously Edward Norton was the Hulk first, and I far prefer Mark Ruffalo. Much prefer Mark Ruffalo to Edward Norton. So being second choice isn't necessarily a bad thing, but if whoever is cast as Spider-Man is cast, and maybe we're a bit like, we're not a huge fan, it's always going to be in the back of your head, like, that isn't who they initially wanted. But then saying that, I think we spoke about it in the last Segue City, or maybe the one before that, we said there's been a few people who are rumoured for roles back in the day, like Nicolas Cage as Superman and stuff like that. So, not necessarily landing the actor you want isn't always a bad thing, I guess, but... I don't know. As a Spider-Man fan, and since how I'd already sort of like set it in my mind who was going to be Spider-Man, that's kind of a shame. But in fairness, looking at both these actors, as I say, I haven't seen them in an acting capacity. But Charlie Plummer, Tom Holland, I feel I'd still be happy with either one of these. I feel either one of them could hold the role. But as I say, I haven't seen any of them actually in an acting capacity. I'm only just looking at pictures on Google right now. So who knows? I guess only time will tell. Like, it should be very, very, very soon announced who is going to be Spider-Man. Or at least I'd imagine it would be. But
yeah, well, it should be any day now, because there's no way they'll start shooting without us knowing. So we should know before July is apparent.
Yeah, but
I think
saying you said the other week's kind of a good idea. Like, I feel like, say, like, for argument's sake, it is just now down to Tom Holland and Charlie Plummer. Whoever doesn't get the role as Spider-Man, I think should get the role as Harry Osborn. Like, I think that what you said the other week was like a brilliant idea. I mean, that's what happened with the original Spider-Man film. James Franco went for the role of Peter Parker, didn't get it, and was given the role as Harry Osborn instead. But
happens all the time.
Yeah, but in saying that, just because you were going to play a good Peter Parker doesn't mean you're going to play a good Harry Osborn.
But if you're a good actor, I feel like you should be able to play a large variety of roles, and I think, well, the only one I can speak for here is Tom Holland, and from what I've seen from him, he can act. You know? He's got, especially for a 19-year-old.
And you think if it was originally out of a cast of like thousands of people who auditioned for the role, and now it's down to these two, they both clearly can carry their own, as they wouldn't have been eliminated out of thousands of different actors down to just these last two. But hey ho. Anyway, I think I've delved into my heartbreak of this Spider-Man news enough. Seems like we're talking about casting. There's a few other Marvel-related casting stuff. Should we talk about this casting news first, and then we can move on to some other stuff that I know you're very excited about? So,
I think you already mentioned one of them in your segue, Dave.
Yes, I did indeed. Although now I can't remember which one that is.
John Byrne.
Oh, of course, yes.
Been cast as the Punisher in season 2 of Daredevil on Netflix.
Yeah, this is another one of those things where I always say about when it comes to the Marvel casting, where I'm like, I never would have picked that guy, and then as soon as they do, I'm like, huh, yeah, I see it. Like, it never would have occurred to me. Like, if someone had said, who are you going to cast as Punisher? My first thought would be, was it Thomas Jane, who was the original Punisher?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would be my first thought. And then I'd think of other people who are sort of around that role. Never, John Bernthal would never, ever have occurred to me. Yet, I can really see it. Although, if The Walking Dead is anything to base it off of, we're going to have a Punisher who constantly rubs the top of his head now. So, did you ever see that? I think it was on this trailer.
Right.
For The Walking Dead, and it was literally
probably
just, they did and they were just like, oh, we're gonna see Shane rub his head, and there was literally a montage of him doing it about like 12 times in one season. It was insane, but
that is pretty funny.
I could see John Bernthal playing Punisher as well, and it's also, not only is it obviously being confirmed that he's gonna be playing Punisher, but it's also now going to be confirmed that he's in season 2 of Daredevil. Before, we knew there was a Punisher thing coming, but we didn't know if he was going to be his own Netflix, a movie. We didn't know what was coming. Obviously, now we know that he's season 2 of Daredevil, which can then lead on to the Defenders, and it's going to be interesting.
Apparently, right now they're also in the midst of casting Elektra and Bullseye. So
yes, yeah. Oh, that's actually something else as well. There was rumours about who's going to be Bullseye. I can't actually remember who it was. I actually heard some rumours about who was apparently looking for the role of Jason Statham. Apparently, like, obviously, like,
yes, that's right. I remember hearing that.
Yeah, I can't honestly see that happening in my eyes. Like, not in a, I don't know, like, I can't see that actually happening. But apparently, there are rumours about, was it either Jason Statham wanted the role of Bullseye, or they wanted him as the role of Bullseye? I can't quite remember which way round it was.
I can't remember. He's been surrounded. He's surrounded, around that role in some capacity. But yeah.
Yeah, so as you say, like, the Netflix life, I guess, of Marvel is really starting to pick up as well, and I'm interested to see where they're going to go season 2, because Daredevil, I think it was I can't remember the actress's name now who played Night Nurse in season 1, Rosario Dawson. Or Rosario Dawson.
Oh, it's
yeah,
Rosario Dawson, yeah.
That's the one. Like, she actually said in an interview as well that Daredevil in season 1 was not obviously as hardcore as Punisher, in the fact that obviously the Daredevil doesn't kill, but he had that same dark, gritty undertone that Punisher has always had. So now Punisher being introduced is obviously going to have to be a lot more than Daredevil. Now, obviously, that line that's going to separate the two is the fact that Punisher kills, and obviously Daredevil does not. So it's going to be, I'm interested to see how they're going to butt heads, because obviously Punisher isn't a bad guy. It depends how far you want to go. Like, obviously he kills all the bad guys, but he's killing the bad guys. He's not just killing everyone. He's seeking out evil and he's taking it down. But obviously that's a line that Daredevil won't cross. So I think it's going to be interesting, like, how they're actually going to meet. Like, will it be Daredevil is after a particular person and ends up, like, maybe he gets to the scene just as Punisher's killing him, or every time he gets to the scene they're already dead. And he's thinking to himself, like, what the hell was going on here? Or he starts getting blamed for the killings, or something like that. I think it's going to be interesting to see, like, maybe they're going to be butting heads and also against the common goal at the same time. Or, like, maybe Daredevil's trying to take down an enemy whilst trying to save them from the Punisher at the same time. Like, I'm really interested to see how they're going to work together in season 2 of Daredevil. But what's your thoughts on it?
Well, if season 2 of Daredevil was even half as good as season 1, then we're in for a treat. So,
yes, very much so, very much so. And like, I doubt it would be in season 2, but you never know. But I'm really hoping that the Kingpin makes a return. I'm really hoping he does. But whether that be,
yeah.
Yeah,
me too.
Whether that be in Defenders, though, I think it would be better if there was a bit of a gap and then he returned in like a later Netflix series, like either in the Defenders or in what have you. But it'd be cool if season 2 of Daredevil focused on, say, maybe Punisher and maybe another big enemy or something like that. But no, I'm excited. I'm loving the whole way Netflix is going right now. I'm just excited to see what comes next.
Yeah, me too. Well, in fact, I think Marvel have such a huge confidence in Netflix that they're moving their existing ABC network TV shows to Netflix. So
yeah, that being Agents of Shield. And I don't know about Peggy Carter. Have you heard anything about that?
No, nothing. But if it's a formula that's working for them, and if Daredevil's found a new audience, then I'm sure they're going to want to share everything that they've got with that new audience. So it would make sense.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, is that as far as I've found looking online, Agents of Shield has joined Netflix as of the 11th of June. However, in the UK, I haven't been able to find it. So whether that's just in the US Netflix, I don't know. But as of the UK Netflix so far, I haven't been able to find Agents of Shield on Netflix. But I'm kind of interested with that as well, because I love Agents of Shield just as much as I love like Daredevil or the rest of the cinematic universe. Like they're different in the way they're done, but I love them all for their own reasons. I'm curious, now Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is coming to Netflix, will the tone of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. change, or will they keep it the same, it just happens to be on Netflix?
No. It's going to be the same, just happens to be on Netflix. It's still going to be run by... Do you remember last time when I was talking about how a Netflix show's produced and how...
Yeah.
A studio, like network TV show's produced, it's still going to have that same production line, and it's still going to have to follow that same... process, so I don't think much is going to change.
So ABC isn't actually
tone or anything like that, unfortunately.
Yeah. So ABC isn't actually losing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's just also on Netflix.
Yeah, that's right.
Ah, right, fair enough. Yeah, because I thought it was actually making the move to Netflix. So I thought like ABC was losing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and it was just going to be Netflix. Oh no, okay, fair enough. But again, that's a smart move. Because it might attract those to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that have watched Daredevil but didn't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They might see it's on there and go, oh, okay, yeah, now I'll watch it. Now I can stream them all back to back. Because that's... Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, ultimately, Disney have got more of an investment. I hate to go to the business side of it, but Disney have got more of financial gain coming out of ABC than they have Netflix. They'll get a little bit of money for... lots of people viewing it there, but if they can get people to go and view their show as it happens on ABC, they're going to be making more money because ABC is owned by Disney. So it's just that whole money thing that Disney loves so much.
Yeah, very true. But then again, at the same time, that's the one good thing about them also bringing it to Netflix is I love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but once I've watched an episode, I've watched it, and I can't go back and re-watch it if I want to. The good thing about putting it on Netflix as well is you can watch it initially when it first comes out, and then go back and stream the whole thing on Netflix once the season's finished. Like, I imagine they're going to do it the same way they've done it now. Like, season 2 finished on ABC, and then they put it all on Netflix. So once it's finished on TV, then it's available. Like, I really doubt they'd put it on Netflix as it goes. Like,
and when they're all available like that, like this is probably the way I'm going to be watching it. I'm going to try and find out some sort of chronological order so I can watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then like, oh, if Thor 2 fits in here in between these two episodes, I'll watch them. And then I'll watch Thor 2, and then I'll watch the next episode. I'll be able to like that. Whereas because it airs differently in the UK to the US, so that doesn't really work in the UK. So I'll luckily be able to do that now.
Yeah, if you actually go on like Google and just type in Marvel Cinematic Universe chronological order, then you can actually find a list, and it literally goes through like Captain America first, then this, then that, blah 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 blah, and then it will get to Avengers, and then it will go Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode 1 to 8, then Thor Dark World, then episodes 9 to so and so. It's really cool. It literally says everything in chronological order, like the first things you'd watch. There you go, yeah, it's actually here on the Marvel Cinematic Universe wiki. I'll put a link in there, as you say, as always, link in the descriptions to everything. But it literally has a timeline, and it will start off with Captain America First Avenger, then all the episodes of Peggy Carter, then it will move on to, say, like Iron Man 1 or something like that. It literally has everything with the TV shows in chronological order, which is, it's pretty awesome. It'd be the exact thing you'd be looking for if you're trying to, like, start the TV series and watch them in order. It'd be perfect. But... yeah, so I'll drop a link in the description to that for obviously all you guys who want to check that out as well. But But no, I think moving to Netflix is just a smart idea. Like, even if they're obviously keeping their ABC stuff going, it's just a smart idea for those who maybe watch Daredevil but haven't bothered with the TV stuff. It's a good way, I think, of appealing to both audiences. But yeah, so yeah, with that said, we had one more bit of casting information that came out of I suppose you could say the Marvel camp, really. And I'll let you do this one, because I know if I have trouble saying Matthew McConaughey, I'm going to butcher this poor man's name. So it's to do with the casting of Baron Mordo, but I'll let you take this one, Tommy.
Did you want me to say the name, or it's Chiwetel Ejiofor, the guy from 12 Years a Slave, which came out a couple of years ago, big Oscar contender.
Yeah, so that's basically as stupid as it sounds. That's basically what I need you to do for me there, because if I have trouble saying Matthew McConaughey, I'm going to butcher this poor man's name. So yeah, so it basically seems that they have finally cast Baron Mordo in the Doctor Strange film that will be coming out. When's Doctor Strange coming out? It's before Infinity War, isn't it?
It's not in between, is it?
I thought it might have been, but I'm pretty certain it's before the first one. I think it's actually 2016, so next year.
November 4th, 2016. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, so coming out the end of next year. But yeah, he's finally been cast. Also, in the same vein, I don't know if we actually spoke about it, but also the Ancient One has been apparently cast as well, Tilda Swinton, which apparently was kicking up. It was both a good thing and also kicking up a bit of a stink, because obviously in the comics, the Ancient One was always an elderly man, and now it's been cast as a lady. So a lot of people were umming and ahhing about it. A lot of people thought it was a really cool thing. A lot of people thought it was kind of a negative thing. So there's been quite a lot of talk actually around the Doctor Strange casting recently. So I mean, what's your thoughts?
Has she been cast officially? I thought that was still hearsay at this.
Well, that's the thing. I think he's still.
That was a while back.
Yeah, well, I just realised we never really mentioned it, but I think since how we're talking about Doctor Strange casting, we might as well bring it up.
Yeah.
I think at this point it is still rumoured, because I know IMDb isn't exactly the greatest source for confirming stuff, but they're still saying the Baron Mordo casting is still rumoured on here. So
no. Baron Mordo is confirmed.
Yeah, well, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, you can't.
Swinton is not. I believe that's the one.
Yeah, no, that's what I was just saying. Like, you can't really trust what IMDb says, because we know
Right.
Baron Mordo has been cast, but on here it still says rumoured. So
okay.
You can't always necessarily take what they say as the gospel truth. But what's your thoughts of like changing a male character to a female character? Because I've never really had an issue with it.
As long as they're doing it for the right purposes.
Yeah.
Like, I just think like there's been a lot of cases in the past where people have done that just for headline hunting, and I don't agree with that. Do it for the sake of the character, and I think Tilda Swinton is a terrific actress. I'm unfamiliar with the character, so I'm ready to see her spin on it, if that is the case.
Yeah, and I think obviously it's hard for us to really mention, since how neither one of us are avid Doctor Strange readers. So I think other than stuff like New Avengers and stuff like that, or Illuminati, I've never actually read a individual Doctor Strange series, so I couldn't comment. But I think if it's one of those roles, as long as it doesn't affect the role, then like, I can never see why it'd be an issue. Like I can imagine if they cast Spider-Man as a woman, then yeah, I'd understand a lot of people going like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like I'd get that, because it's Peter Parker. Like that's who it is. Like you change it, you're just changing it for pure, as you say, just like you're changing it to get the headlines. But I think as a character like the Ancient One, I can see like changing it to a female role. I can't imagine how that would affect the story in the slightest. So like stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, go for it. Like why not? Like maybe she actually just cast better than any of the male actors they were looking at that time. Like who's to know? You never know the sort of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. But what about with Baron Mordo? What's your thoughts behind that?
I've no idea who that is. So
what Baron Mordo or the actor?
Baron Mordo. I love the actor from what I've seen him in.
Yeah. See, that's what I was gonna say. Like again, like as with you, I don't really know anything really about Baron Mordo. He's popped up in time from times to other things that I've read, where either Stephen Strange has been there, or he's just an enemy that's crossed over to another particular like a comic arc or something like that. But the actor who is now confirmed to be playing Baron Mordo, he's one of those actors that I see in everything, but also he never plays a huge role. But I just see him crop up in loads of different films, loads of different TV series. He was in Serenity, obviously the Firefly movie. He was in what was it? 2012? I believe he
Oh
was
right,
in as
okay.
well. Like if memory's serving me right, like he's one of
Really?
those. Yeah, I think so. As I say, like he's one of those actors that he doesn't necessarily play a huge role, but he just seems to pop up in everything. And like the second I saw that he was playing Doctor Strange, I was just glad to see him finally getting a larger role, like a role in a film that is going to be bigger, if you see what I mean. So, but no,
Yeah, yeah.
but again, that's another one of those things that's a casting choice where it's a bit different. Because if I'm right in thinking Baron Mordo is white in the comics as well, or depending on the picture I just saw, he might be Asian. I'm not exactly, I'm not exactly, not exactly certain there. But again, like that's another change in the way that a character looks. So, no, yeah, according to these pictures I'm looking at now, Baron Mordo is white. So again, like we've got the ancient one who's gone from an elderly man to a woman now, and obviously Baron Mordo has gone from white to black. So again, it's one of those casting choices that it doesn't matter. It's not like they're reaching and they really want to try and get loads of headlines. Oh, we've changed this, we've changed that. It's a change that doesn't affect the story. And when that sort of stuff happens, I'm like, yeah, like I don't see why not. So it seems
Yeah,
perfectly fine.
absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So, but yeah, cool stuff, cool stuff. So I suppose there wasn't really much to talk about that. It was just sort of stuff that recent news that had come out about Marvel and the casting stuff that I figured we'd probably talk about. But with that being said, I know there's something that you are very very happy to be starting to talk about. So we might as well start you off on a massive
Well,
speech.
it's something I'm happy to be talking about, but it's something I'm not happy to be talking about something I'm happy to be talking about. So I'm happy to be talking about Star Wars, obviously, because it's Star Wars and I love Star Wars and I'm talking about Star Wars. But I'm not really happy with why we're talking about it. And that is that Forrest Whitaker's been cast in Star Wars Rogue One. Right, let's get me started. I love Forrest Whitaker. He's a terrific actor. I love him. I mean, everything I've seen. Obviously, I love Star Wars. I love this Rogue One thing. I'm loving everything I'm hearing about that. The two together, I'm not liking the mix. I don't like that Forrest Whitaker's such a big star in a Star Wars film. Normally what they do, they cast a bunch of, oh, I may have seen him in that or her in this or that, and then they become these roles. When I see Forrest Whitaker on screen in Star Wars, I'm going to be seeing Forrest Whitaker on screen in Star Wars. I'm not going to see whatever character he may be playing, and that's an unfortunate truth, and that worries me.
Fair enough. I can understand like your concern when it comes to that, because sometimes when you, as you say, like when a big actor gets cast in a role in which the character's kind of iconic, sometimes you're not looking at them and thinking, oh, that's whoever that character is. You're looking at that thinking, oh, that's so and so from this film, or that's so and so from that film, and it's hard to immerse yourself into the film or into the character, into the franchise when you're thinking about all the roles they've played previous. Like say like Brad Pitt was cast as a role, it'd be hard to think, oh, that's Luke Skywalker or what have you, because you're thinking, oh, that's so-and-so from Fight Club or from Mr. and Mrs. Smith or like from a plethora of other films that he's done. So I can kind of see where you're coming from with that, but at the same time, you've got to kind of be excited for the caliber of acting skill that he's bringing to the role as well.
It's just, that is true. There is a high caliber of acting, that he will bring. But it's not only that, any star in any film is going to be a star in the film. It's just that Star Wars especially has such a culture of hiring people that aren't necessarily known, and then obviously, eventually become stars later. But a la Liam Neeson, Harrison Ford, what have you. But it's just that it does take away from that culture a little bit, in that, even in episode 7 they've cast relatively unknowns and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't like that they've done that. I feel like they are taken away from what Star Wars is in the sense of on screen and off. Am I being too unfair? I don't know.
I don't know. When you're saying about this casting relatively unknown actors, are you also including the prequels into this, or? Because if you think of the prequels, you had Natalie Portman, you had Samuel Jackson,
who was an unknown, who was a fan who wanted a cameo.
Really? Was she? Like, I thought she was established at that point.
No, not at all. She was what? I'm trying to think how old she was. She was probably about 15, 16 at that point. She was incredibly young. She'd barely got started.
Was she really? I thought she was. Was it that long ago?
Yeah, but 99, and it was shooting 98.
Blimey, I didn't think it was that long ago. Oh man,
Yeah.
I wasn't aware she was that young back then. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Liam Neeson had just done Schindler's List, which obviously... No, wait, Schindler's List... Yeah, no, he'd just done Schindler's List, which, again, quite a big film, but again, kind of an artsy one, and he'd done nothing really before that. I think he was a teacher before that. So, like, there was just this, like, kind of... And again, Ewan McGregor hadn't done anything, a little bit of stage acting, and his uncle was in the first Star Wars film. So it sort of made a lot of these actors.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, because that was going to be my next one. I was going to say Ewan McGregor as well, but oh, fair enough. Like I thought that they were already relatively well known by that point. At least I remember when I went to go see them, I thought like, oh, that's so and so and that's so and so. But unless maybe that's me just looking back on it, recognising them. Maybe at the time, obviously, I didn't know who they were. I don't know. Like I always thought they were relatively well known by that point, but
Harrison Ford was a carpenter.
Really?
who was a bit of an actor in his spare time, worked with George Lucas in his office, building his like desk and cabinets and stuff. Worked with him on a film George did a while ago. I went back to being a carpenter, came in with George Lucas to read some lines with some actors who he wanted to cast, decided he was right for the role, and then it steamrolled this huge career, being Han Solo, then Indiana Jones, and then everything else in his career. So,
and he can make his own furniture. So look at that.
There you go.
look at that. So yeah, so like yeah, I don't know. Like I suppose I can see where you're coming from. I do understand it. He's sort of breaking this sort of culture, but then at the same time, Forest Whitaker, even though he is well known, he's not exactly like an A-lister. It's not like they're hiring like one of these massive It's not like they're putting George Clooney in it, or like George Clooney or Brad Pitt or like one of these massive A-lister icon celebrities. Forest Whitaker is well known, but at the same time, I think I could watch him in a film and not think about all the roles he's done previous. Like I just believe he is the character. I can understand what he's because like there are certain things about Forest Whitaker that you look at and he does have a memorable face. Like, and I'm not just saying that because of like facial disfigurements or anything. I'm not like saying that for those reasons, but I'm just saying like he does have a memorable face. But I can imagine seeing him in this film and not thinking of all the roles he's done previous. He's not one of those celebrities. Like if they had put I don't know Angelina Jolie in it or something like that, I would be like, that's Angelina Jolie. I'm not gonna see Forest Whitaker and go, that's Forest Whitaker. I'll be seeing the character he's playing. So I can see where you're coming from. It is kind of breaking the tradition, but I don't think it will like hinder the film in any aspect.
So that's where I'm down. I don't think I will be able to differentiate that. He's in my eyes he's too big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess one of those things that only really time will tell. I guess really, isn't it?
It's true. Very true.
We'll have to wait and see. But well, yeah, when I was saying about the news that you are excited for, I wasn't necessarily thinking about the Forest Whitaker casting. I was more thinking about some of the
I
game.
don't want to quite go there yet.
No, you're not ready to talk about it yet.
No, let's leave all that excitement till the end. I think because I think there's quite.
Yeah, because I suppose you're saying that I've got a bit of.
Because I know there's something there that you're very excited about as well.
Yes, very much so, very much so. So, all right, well, I'm staying on the sort of stuff that you seem to know about more. There was a final release date for the Hateful Eight. Did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so actually a little while ago they spoke about Quentin Tarantino is a very big fan of old film and old cinema, so he's actually going to do a limited run earlier than this of his new film, The Hateful Eight, in only film, so only I think 75mm short. I think only 35mm. I'll have to double check, but it's not that big a deal anyway. In film rather than just digital, so he's going to be showing that a little bit earlier, which is kind of cool to keep that alive, to encourage cinemas to keep those projectors in because they're expensive to have. But then the wide release for The Hateful Eight will be Christmas Day, which is different for Tarantino. Did it with Django Unchained, so it's something he likes to do. Yeah, it's just a nice bit of fun.
So releasing a film on Christmas Day, is that a regular thing? Because I would imagine that would hinder.
Yeah,
views.
It happens every year. There will always be a big film release on Christmas Day. No. There's a huge culture, more so in America than anywhere else, but America makes up the largest portion of any market. Where cinema on Christmas Day is a really popular and really common thing.
Really? See, like,
Yeah.
personally, I could see that been something I would enjoy. But like maybe obviously say, because obviously I've grown up in an English culture, that's something I could never imagine people doing. Like, oh, it's Christmas Day, let's go watch a movie at the cinema. Like I've always seen Christmas Day as sort of like a home with family kind of thing, not like a going to the cinema thing. I mean, personally, I'd love it. I'd love to do something like that. I'd love to. I think it would be really enjoyable. But as I say, like as you say, it's more of an American thing. I don't know what the American culture's like when it comes to Christmas. But I always thought in my head like a Christmas Day release would really hinder views. Like nobody would go see it. But then, as I say, like if cinema's a huge thing on Christmas Day, then fair enough. But that'd be cool. See, that's another one of the reasons why I think I'd love to go to America.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. I'm just going to list off a few films that open Christmas Day. And they'll obviously be ones you'll be familiar with. So first of all, To Kill a Mockingbird. It's a classic if you haven't, a much older one. If you know me, my favourite film of all time, Catch Me If You Can, open Christmas Day. Django Unchained, as I mentioned. Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr. Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Children of Men. I'm just reading a few of the bigger ones that more people know. Les Miserables, The Aviator, Jackie Brown, another Tarantino film, Empire of the Sun, Ali. So there's loads and loads of films that open Christmas Day and do incredibly well. Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, true. See, my only thought about this sort of stuff is, as you said, like if it's a big thing in, say, like America, maybe like Christmas Day releases, that's fair enough. But I've still got to think worldwide, it would hinder them. Because if there's a big thing in culture for them to go see stuff on Christmas Day there, that's fair enough. But then still the rest of the world, they must be losing out. Because I can't think of anyone I know who goes to the cinema between Christmas Day and New Year's Eve. I just can't think of it. Because everyone's always visiting family and doing holiday stuff and going to parties and stuff like that. So I don't know. Like I've always imagined, like over there, it does fantastically well. But I can imagine for the rest of the world, I suppose you have also got the cultures that don't celebrate Christmas as well. But I don't know. Well, I can imagine worldwide.
You've got to think these films don't open Christmas Day and then close down like New Year's. They open all through. They're still open all through January, and nothing comes out in January. If a film has been pegged to release, mid-January time, it probably means the studio has no faith in it whatsoever, and they don't want to waste another slot in the year because they just don't think this film can make money because they don't think it's very good. That's essentially. That's not always the case. Every now and then you get like a gem in there, but essentially January's like the graveyard month. That's just unfortunately the way it works.
Yeah, which is understandable.
I'm sorry if you're a director and the studio's told you you've got a January 15th release date, but that's just the culture behind it.
Which is understandable because nobody's got any money to go to the cinema.
At that time when you've got when you've got these big films out there and there's nothing else to see, you're gonna check these things out. But I think I've mentioned this before. But films, the Tarantino films especially, are always going to be an 18 or an R rating. They don't make as much money in the cinema anyway, so he's going to make a lot of his money on home release. So he's not looking for the big summer blockbuster bucks.
It feels like with this, he's probably actually just more looking to, as you said, like he's recording it on film as opposed to digital. So it's looking more like he's trying to make a statement, if anything, as opposed to actually trying to. He's not like he's making this and he's like, yeah, I want to beat the Avengers at the box office or anything like that. It looks like he's more making this to prove a point and also just to express his particular form of artwork in this film as well. But the main thing
is very much Tarantino.
Yeah, if you watch back at any, you could grab a handful of his films and not two of them would be similar. Like he definitely likes to express different ways of doing things. But the main thing I was thinking about when I was thinking about views was, as you said, like it would go all the way into January, and like that's true. But the main thing I was thinking about is one of the biggest things people always say about films is opening weekend. And I was just thinking that opening weekend still happens the first weekend it was released, and I just imagine it must take a hit there. But then I suppose, as you're saying, he's not looking for insane amounts of views. He's just looking for creating a artistic piece of work. So
actually, while we're talking about opening weekends, I'd love to talk about Jurassic World and how big that was, because that smashed records.
Yeah, from what I've heard, it smashed like every record, isn't it?
Well, It beat Avengers for biggest opening weekend domestically. Typically, when people talk about opening weekends and numbers, they talk about domestic first because worldwide such a variable thing where I could talk about two different films and how much money they made all around the world, whereas one film could have opened in 10 more countries than the other, for example.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to do. Whereas when you do it domestically, not only is it the biggest market, but it's also the same for everywhere. Because everyone's saying about how it made like $500 million worldwide opening weekend and how that's unprecedented. It actually opened in more countries opening weekend than films normally do. Typically they'll open, as most people know this anyway, in England we might get a film, a week earlier or a week later than America, that sort of thing. It's rare that it opens everywhere at the same time. So it had that going for it, but at the same time it smashed all the records domestically as well.
Yeah, so the fact that it opened up worldwide.
I'm just trying to get that weekend number for
just
now.
helped.
208 million, which is incredible. Just to put it into perspective, Guardians of the Galaxy opened in the summer. It's a Marvel film. It made 90 million opening weekend. So to get more than double that, you've got a winner there.
How did Age of Ultron do then?
Bear with me.
Because obviously everyone was saying, it beat Age of Ultron as well, but from what I heard, like that actually, apparently I heard that didn't do as well as the first Avengers.
191.
191. So yeah, like smashed it.
Yeah, the first Avengers, I think off the top of my head, did 204 or 206, something like that. Hold on.
Yeah, from the thing I was looking at,
it did 207. Oh wow, it did more than I thought.
Yeah. Well, even then, it still even beat the first Avengers as well. Like, I heard it's beat loads of other like previous films. Like it's beat
everything.
It's beat the Harry Potters. It beat like all of them as well. So
everything. It is the biggest opening weekend of all time, and it's going to be a tough one to beat.
Do you find?
I didn't think we'd ever see anything in Avengers for a long time.
Really?
Not let alone 3 years later. I was blown away.
Well, I suppose the one thing I was going to say Jurassic Park, but Jurassic World has going for it is it's got I would argue, a larger fan base. Because whereas comics, you watch all the films and you watch all the things and you read all the literature, and even if you don't like superheroes, you might go watch the superhero films just for a laugh. Jurassic Park has got nostalgia for everyone. Like, it doesn't. You could not be into films and you've seen Jurassic Park. So I can imagine, especially so long after the last Jurassic Park 3 came out, I can imagine like it already has got a much larger group of people that want to go see it. Like, just in the day that I saw Jurassic World, so many people on Facebook were, we're going to see Jurassic World today, we're going to see Jurassic World today. And that was just within the first couple of days of it opening. And like, I've never seen so many people go to see a film that's opened up, like it's just come out, that soon to its release. Like, maybe a couple of weeks later I might see someone going, I'm now going to see it. But it was like in one day, I must have seen like 10, 11 people on my Facebook all see it in the same day. No, I've never seen something like that. So, I think it just had a lot more, just had
Jurassic
a much
Park
larger...
3 only, Jurassic Park 3 only made, hold on, I've lost it, I just had it. Only made 50 million opening weekend and 181 in its whole run at the cinema. So the fact that the next one in the franchise to come out,
but
made more than what the last one made in its whole run in its opening weekend, I think speaks a lot for the way marketing's changed, the way this one looked in general. I think the Chris Pratt factor's is in there. He's like a bankable star now. So I think Jurassic World has had a lot on its side.
Yeah, you've also got to think the amount of time it's been since the last Jurassic Park film came out, and also the fact that Jurassic Park 3 was coming off the heels of an already not so successful sequel. So it already had some people, like most people who loved Jurassic Park 1 weren't a fan of Jurassic Park 2, saw the trailers of Jurassic Park 3 and thought, meh. Now it's been such a significant amount of time, like the quality of production with regards to like CGI and stuff like that is greatly improved. It basically brought back everyone who loved the first film went to go see this, whereas everyone who loved the first film maybe didn't go and see the third one, because it was just the third one in what was going downhill as a franchise. So I can see, like, I'd imagine this is done as well as if it had just come out after the first one. Like, that's the way I sort of see it. It's like, it kind of feels like to me like it's kind of like it's gone Jurassic Park, Jurassic World. That's how it feels in my mind, at least. But
Yeah. Well, I haven't actually seen it, so you've got to be the lead
well,
authority here since you have seen it. How is it?
That's it. That's exactly what I was just actually about to say. Like, my prediction before I went to see it turned out to be spot on, or at least in my opinion, and that's that it was a great film. It just wasn't a good Jurassic Park film. That's how I personally felt in my mind. Like, don't get me wrong, the film itself, fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed myself when I went to go see it. However, it just didn't have that feel to it. Like, when I watched, and also you got to also bear in mind, there's a lot of nostalgia when you think back to the first Jurassic Park. But when I watched that film, it doesn't matter how many times I watch it, that scene when they're all in the helicopter and they're finally leaving, like in the first Jurassic Park film, and they're leaving, and the Jurassic Park music's playing, they're all covered in cuts and bruises, and their clothes are stained in mud and blood, and it's playing that slow Jurassic Park theme. They're sort of all looking at each other. You're like, they've just been on an adventure. They've just survived this massive event, and the dinosaurs were just being dinosaurs. And it's the same thing that Ian, what's his face, the guy who's played by Jeff Goldblum, was saying. Like, nature will find a way. You can't control nature. It's going to do what it's always going to do. And that was kind of the whole overarching theme of the whole film. Was like, yeah, you might be able to recreate the dinosaurs, but that doesn't mean you can control them. And whether you liked the second and the third film, that same theme was still there. That these are dinosaurs and you just have to let them be dinosaurs. The thing about Jurassic World was, as I say, great film. Other than the fact they kept playing the Jurassic Park theme, I think trying to build on that nostalgia. Like, I got it at the start, but then they just kept playing little bits of it. Like, maybe in the background you just heard like, or something like that. Just like they kept trying to like bring that nostalgia back out on you. But it was a cool film, but it just didn't have that feel to it. Like, and I know a lot of people say, oh, you can't constantly relate it back to the previous films, but it just didn't feel like Jurassic Park. Like, if this wasn't called Jurassic World, if this was just called Dinosaur Island or something like that, I would have watched it and gone, that was a cool film. But I wouldn't, like, if I had, say they had just called Jurassic The Lost World, if they had just called that Dinosaur Island, I would have been like, that was an alright film. Kind of reminded me of Jurassic Park. This, I couldn't say that. Like, I was like, good film.
Wow.
Good film. Like, it just didn't have that feel. Like, maybe because of, as you say, I won't give anything away, but as you can see from the trailers, they've created a hybrid dinosaur. And obviously that's the main focus of it. There was just a few things that I saw that kind of conflicted one another. It just, I don't know, it just didn't have this feel of, I don't know, it just didn't. It's just something about that. It was a good film. It really was a great film. There is no denying that. It just didn't have that Jurassic Park feel. It didn't feel like these are dinosaurs and they are always going to be dinosaurs and like that's what it is. It kind of had that feel that I was really worried it was going to do, like the dinosaurs team up and all that sort of stuff. I had this worried that they were going to take this awesome franchise and try and turn it into a massive movie like they did with Die Hards. Like, Die Hard, love that film. Die Hard 4 and 5, awful films. And maybe not 4 as much, but 5 was an awful film. And I was worried that's what they're going to do. They're going to take this really great idea and twist it to be really visually spectacular. And sometimes in some aspects they kind of recreated scenes as well. Like, you know, where the kids have the glass where the T-Rex sticks its head through in the first film. In a sense, they kind of recreated that, and I was a bit sort of like, just stop it. Just do something new. Don't just try and drag out our nostalgia to make us really love this new film. But as I say, like, with that being said, it was an awesome film. I absolutely loved it. I'd gladly go see it again, and I really want to check it out in like 3D or IMAX or something like that. Like, I think that'd be a really awesome experience. But there was just something about it that it just, if they hadn't called it Jurassic World, I would have just thought it was a good film. There's no way I watched this and thought this is kind of like Jurassic Park. And in fairness, I think that's why they called it Jurassic World. I think it's because they are starting a new franchise with it. And I don't think, even though there is actually one really cool reference, which I won't mention, but there is one really cool reference back to the first Jurassic Park film, and I really enjoyed it. I thought that was really cool. The way they did it as well. Like, that was the main bit that made me really think, like, man, that's cool. That was really cool. But other than that, I think they are trying to take it in a brand new direction. They're just trying to take it, and like, there's a lot of things that were left open, and the director even came out and said that there's already ideas for a sequel, and I think it's probably going to be a whole trilogy. But there was a lot of things in the film that have been left open for that purpose. So I think the whole idea of changing the name from Park to World is so they can start a new franchise, a new trilogy, what have you. But good film. good film. But if you're going for nostalgic Jurassic Park reasons, like there are a lot of like callbacks and shout outs to the original Jurassic Park, but if you're looking for that same feel that first film gave you, then be prepared for it not really to be there. But still, fantastic film.
Honestly, I've heard the opposite. I've heard it is that like you know, nostalgia, same as the first one ride. So I'll be interested to see for myself.
I think a few of the things that I kind of was a bit about the film, you will also see. Like I found there was a lot of what's the word? Not hypocrite. I'm completely blanking on the word. Like they would say one thing, and then that character would then completely go against his nature. And it was like at one point they're like, no, you've got to let the dinosaurs do this, you've got to let the dinosaurs do that. And then in the same breath, they're also trying to control the dinosaurs. And you're like, that doesn't make sense to their character. That was my main gripe, was the way the dinosaurs were being used in the film. Because I was just like, this isn't making sense.
Okay.
Like some people were able to like free roam and stand next to a dinosaur. And I'm like, even in the first film, that was like they were behind massive electric fences, and now it's just like I don't care if it's a vegetarian, it could still stand and kill that person. I was just like, I know it's a film about dinosaurs, but it sounds really stupid saying this, but it was really unrealistic in the aspects of what they were doing. Like I was just like, no, an accident would have happened day one if that was happening. There is no way it's been open for God knows how many years, and this is the first thing that's gone wrong. I was just like, no, I found that really hard to believe. But
I'll have to try and check it out before the next podcast. But I'm sorry, Jurassic World was too unrealistic for you, Dave.
You know what I mean. Like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
Take what I say with a grain of salt when I say unrealistic. But there were some bits that just really broke the immersion for me a little bit. I was just like, oh yeah, this is cool. You know, they've actually got a park now, and there's tourists going there and stuff. And then there's a bit like, I'm not going to say like an exact bit. I'll just give like a fabrication of my mind just to give an example, but there would be like a herbivore dinosaur standing there, and then people would be walking past petting it, and I'm just like, really? Like, no, that would not happen. And like if like say Chris Pratt's character loves dinosaurs, and you got to let them be dinosaurs, and you can't control them, you can't contain them, what have you, why are you okay separating different dinosaurs and basically turning it into a petting zoo? I was just like, it doesn't correlate, it doesn't make sense. But hey ho, as I say, like, awesome film. It was a great film. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It just kind of didn't make sense with regards to how Jurassic Park, the theme, like when you were saying with Star Wars about them always hiring actors who are relatively unknown, and now suddenly they're hiring really well-known actors. That was the thing. Like, whether you like Jurassic Park 2 and 3, they had that theme that kept going, and now it seems like they've kept saying it, but they weren't actually doing it. Like, all of them kept saying, no, they're dinosaurs, you got to let them be dinosaurs, yet none of them were letting them be dinosaurs. Like, I don't know, whatever. I feel like I've rambled on about this too long now. But it's the first time I've really spoke about it, so I don't know, it just kind of all came out. But despite
I like hearing you be passionate about a film. It's nice.
Yeah, but despite what I've said, like, don't let that hinder. Like, definitely go see it. I highly recommend seeing it. It sounds really stupid, me saying all that, and then... But you know what it is, people are more passionate about negative stuff than they are positive most of the time. But still, thoroughly go see it. I'll gladly see it a second time. It was a fantastic film. It just didn't have that Jurassic Park nostalgia feel to me. But despite all the nostalgic links they threw in there. But hey, I'd still say definitely go see it, man. Like, it's a cool film.
Yeah, I will do. And let's wrap up these last couple of bits you've got about film before we head on to games, I think.
Yeah, so...
What do you want to talk about?
Well, yeah, there's a few little things that literally were just little stuff I wanted to just put out there, like some pictures and stuff, so we'll get through them quite quickly. Number one was it was quite a while ago it came out, but I've only just found out about it. But Bryan Singer put on Instagram a picture of not necessarily of Quicksilver, just the Quicksilver set in X-Men Age of Apocalypse. And obviously, I'm putting the picture on the screen now for you guys. And he's literally, for all of those who might be listening to this on iTunes or what have you, he's literally all the cast of X-Men Apocalypse on wires and on strings just floating mid-air. So we're guessing that we may be having a bit of a recreation of the Quicksilver scene from Days of Future Past. Maybe being recreated here in X-Men Apocalypse, because it looks like it's a freeze frame of all the actors like flying in the air. So yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought I'd just post that up there. That scene obviously was one of the major scenes that made Days of Future Past, so it doesn't surprise me they're kind of recreating it for X-Men Apocalypse. But yeah, that's on the screen for all you guys watching the video. And if you're listening to this on iTunes, then go to the video. You can check out the link in the description. So yeah, anything you want to say about that before I move on to the next bit?
Meh.
Meh. No. Well, I suppose we know your thoughts on X-Men and
yeah, that's exactly
Fox,
it.
so.
They made a character that's too powerful and could ruin the whole film, so I'm not interested in it. It looked cool, but it breaks the plot.
We kind of spoke. we kind of spoke about that a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? When we were comparing Marvels and the Avengers and the X-Men, Quicksilvers, and the Quicksilver in Avengers was far more believable. Like, he didn't seem too overpowered, whereas in X-Men they could have used Quicksilver alone to diffuse the entire plot of the film. So
yeah, breaks it, and I'm just not happy that they're breaking it again in the next one. But okay, yeah,
just for a good scene. But
sorry, Dave.
Yeah, but as I say, I'm excited to see it. So, but anyway, moving on to other things that were maybe a tad silly. There were some posters that have been released for Ant-Man, which it seems like a bit of
good. More things to keep me in a good mood. Ant-Man.
Well, I'm gonna lower you down so then you can build yourself back up again.
It's true.
But Tommy, you're not all that pumped for Ant-Man, are you?
I'm not at all. As soon as Edgar Wright was off the project, I was off the project as far as I'm concerned. And then they brought in Peyton Reed, and it's just been downhill from there. I've not really been crazy happy with anything I've seen from it. And now these posters kind of amplify that in the fact that they know people aren't really interested in Ant-Man. So the posters, if you don't know what we're talking about, in fact, they're probably on screen now. Yep. It's 3 new posters. It says, I can't remember what they say. What are they?
Well, you got...
What they say, Dave?
You got the first one, which is Ant-Man standing on top of Captain America's shield, which says, no shield, no hammer, no problem. You then have one of Ant-Man standing on Iron Man's shoulder that says, no shield, no armor, no problem. And then finally one standing on Thor's hammer of no shield, no hammer, no problem. So it's clearly as you said, like before we started recording the podcast, it's almost like they don't necessarily have faith that Ant-Man's going to do well on its own. So they're trying to make sure that everyone's well aware that Ant-Man is in relation to the Avengers, either in his film now or will be in the future. However, like we obviously know he's going to be in Civil War, but people who aren't as interested in the Marvel Cinematic Universe may not know that. So it seems like before Ant-Man comes out, they want to definitely make sure that everyone knows that Ant-Man is going to be a part of this universe. Like it even says from the studio that brought you the Avengers. And it's like, everyone knows that. They didn't need to say it. Like, it's not a huge point. Like, I don't care. But I can see why you found it funny, and to a certain extent I find it funny. Like, just why it's obvious they're slightly worried how well Ant-Man's going to do, because the fact they're bringing in Captain America's shield, Iron Man, and Thor's hammer to try and make people who love the Avengers go see this film. It seems like they're very much worried that nobody's going to go see Ant-Man, and that's why they've created these posters.
I might not go see Ant-Man.
Yeah, so like obviously I'm really excited for Ant-Man. I don't know why. Like there's this little part of me that's just really pumped to go see it. Ever since Age of Ultron concluded, I'm just like, I'm really excited for Ant-Man now. Like I can't wait for next month. I really want to see it. But it does, like, I think you're very much correct that it does seem like the studio is really worried.
It's desperate.
Yeah, that it's really worried that nobody's going to go see it. And to be honest, the name Ant-Man, like, unless you know Ant-Man from the comics, if you don't know of the superhero Ant-Man, then you hear it, it seems like they're just making up superheroes as they go along. So, like, even every time they say it in the movie as well, they just say, I want you to be the Ant-Man. It's just like, it sounds stupid. It doesn't sound like a superhero, so I can see why
it does make more sense, though, that they're saying... It does make more sense that they're saying from the studio that brought you Avengers instead of from the director that brought you Yes Man. Because then there was no...
Yeah. But it's just kind of like... They didn't do this with Guardians, did they? They did have from the... I believe they had the studio that brought you... The Avengers, yeah.
Avengers, or they might have just had... But they did have at least the Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which was enough.
Yeah.
I just think they're going a bit overboard about Man. It's got a bit of negative...
Yeah, like, this... From having
around it, I suppose.
From having the studio that brought you the Avengers, fair enough. Like, that's fair enough. Like, just 'cause it's Marvel, people might not necessarily, like, get the link. Like, but it's the fact that in all these posters he's standing on Cap's shield, standing on Iron Man's shoulder, and standing on Thor's hammer. It just seems a bit goofy. It seems like, okay, like if they were in the film, yeah. But because they're not, it just seems like they're really grasping at straws a little bit. And then, as we found out when we were looking for these photos, there have been a whole bunch of parodies where Ant-Man is standing on like Hawkeye's bow, or standing on Scarlett Johansson's arse, and a whole bunch of other stuff like that. So clearly the internet.
If that was in the film, I'd probably go and see it.
But yeah, second that. But yeah, like clearly the internet found it just as hilarious as we did. But I don't know, like it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It's just a poster, but it does kind of seem a bit desperate. Like they're really worried how well this film's going to do.
It just shows Marvel's, at least their marketing department's thoughts on the film, and that worries me slightly.
Yeah. And you know
anyway,
what?
go on, sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, like, just thinking about it as well, like, obviously we won't know until we've seen the film, and we won't know until we see what sort of connection, like Hank Pym and Scott Lang and all that sort of stuff are going to have with the rest of the Marvel Universe as of yet. We won't know until we've seen the film. But my wondering is, why did they choose to make Ant-Man? Like, because in the universe of Marvel itself, Ant-Man, in the early days, the early days of the Avengers, like he was one of the main characters. But as soon as bigger and better characters came along, he disappeared, or at least the Ant-Man serum, I guess, or Pym particles, or what have you, sort of disappeared, and he was replaced. So I'm wondering why they are actually making Ant-Man, because I can only assume in his film, I can only assume they're going to have some form of impact, and it's going to be a big thing. But I just figure there were so many other characters maybe they could have put in this spot. I'm just wondering why. Like, why not Giant Man?
Honestly,
why not Wasp?
I just think they need more characters. That they want more bigger characters. Like they want more superheroes rather than your Iron Patriots and your Falcons. They want more like main franchise heroes, and they don't have the rights to a lot of them. Ant-Man's one of them, and I think they're going to be able to then spin off into your Giant Man, your Wasp, and stuff like that from the Ant-Man film. I think that's their.
Is also, like, I should already know this from the trailers, but is that Janet Van Dyne in Ant-Man? Who plays what? Who obviously that's who the Wasp is. Is that who? I forget her name. Oh,
Lily.
Yes, is that who she's playing? Is that Janet Van Dyne?
Wasp. I don't think so.
Because I weren't sure who it was that I've seen her in all the adverts, but I've never heard any character say her name. So if she's playing Janet Van Dyne, then obviously they could clearly be gearing up for her to come into it as the Wasp. But
she's playing Hope Van Dyne. So
is she?
Yeah.
Oh, we never know. You never know. Possibly. Because obviously, if Hank Pym's old in this, then I'm guessing Janet would also be old, because she was on and off love interest with Hank Pym. So, but then maybe like Hope Van Dyne's going to. Who knows?
Hope Van Dyne is known as Hope Pym. Also known as Hope Pym, is the daughter of Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne, and twin of Henry Pym Jr., aka Big Man. She's a founding member of the Revengers. Her alter ego is Red Queen, and she's an expert in hand-to-hand combat. There you go. So she'll probably be a character in the future.
Yeah, so there you go. That makes more sense. So, but yeah, I mean, like, them as characters are big to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It just seems like Ant-Man was I'm looking forward to it. It just seems like he was a bit of a weird one to bring in. Like, since how the different characters, Hank Pym himself, like Giant Man, Ant-Man, Yellow Jacket, like it just feels like Ant-Man was just a weird one to bring in. But maybe it's easier to do Ant-Man than it would be to do Giant Man if you're looking at it from a CGI aspect. Like making a big massive guy who can grow twice the size of a building, where are you going to go with the story for that? So anything that big would then need the Avengers. So, but anyway, hey ho, we've spoken about this a bit. So fair enough. So there was one other big bit of news that I suppose that we could talk about before we
another thing to make me down.
Yeah, another thing to make you down, and that was obviously, of course, of the very sad passing of Sir Christopher Lee. So. Yeah,
I mean, I think he was 93 years old, so he obviously lived a very full life, and he left us with so much, so much of his work that we can always look back on and remember him by. All of these great franchises, he spawned Dracula, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. I mean, this guy was so incredible, and in everything he was in, he brought this strong, presence and to every performance, and he's going to be missed.
And also, I haven't actually confirmed this, but from what I hear as well, he also served in World War II. Is that correct?
Yeah, he did. Was he not? I think he might have been in. Yeah. That's right. Sorry, I was thinking of something else. But yeah, he was. He was. I'm pretty sure if you read up, I don't know if he has a biography, but I'm sure you can read it at least on his Wikipedia page to be a little less classy. I'm pretty sure he lived a very, very interesting life, filled with a lot of things like that. Like I don't want to just say anything in case I'm completely off board, but if I remember rightly and reading before, there's a lot of interesting stuff there that might interest you. So definitely check out his life in general, outside of his acting. Even though you should obviously check out his acting as well.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look back to the days, obviously when he played like Dracula and stuff like that, even then he was already into adulthood when he first started like acting roles like that as well. So he obviously lived quite a full and adventurous life before he even got into the acting game. So, but yeah, so obviously especially when you lose like the caliber, not just necessarily a caliber of an actor that he was, but just when you lose anyone who's sort of like loved and revered by so many people, it's always a sad thing, and obviously a great loss to not only film franchises but just film in general. So, but yeah, was there anything in particular that you wanted to mention about that before we moved on? Because I say, like, I know him as an actor, but obviously he played some very iconic roles as such, like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. So I didn't know if there was anything in particular you wanted to mention before we move on.
I just think it'd be nice, over the next few weeks or whatever, if everyone can, just watch something he was in, whether it's a great film like Lord of the Rings, I don't know, Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers is probably his best one, or a terrible film like Star Wars Episode 2: Attack of the Clones. I just think it's great to see him stand out in both a good film and a bad film. So
yeah, but yeah, no, definitely.
Gonna do that.
And as I say, links in the description to everything. There's a link in the description to this right now to the Telegraph, in which there are a load. And when I say a load, I mean like so many tributes from different actors, directors, musicians, all posting either experiences they've had with Christopher Lee or just films that were most memorable for him. Even people like the UK Prime Minister tweeted about like his sorrow in the passing of Christopher Lee as well. So yeah, link in the description to that if you want to go check out all these tributes that have been made to him. So, but with that being said and done, going from something quite depressing and quite sorrowful to something that you're actually very, very excited about. So let's see if you can get a high after being so low. So why don't you take this one away, Tommy?
Okay, so it was E3. It was E3 this past week or so. A lot of cool announcements. I'm a big Halo fan. There's some cool Halo stuff there. Some cool Xbox announcements, backwards compatibility, that sort of thing. But the big one that stood out for me, the one I was looking forward to, was the it was just Star Wars Battlefront in general. Obviously, it was going to be Star Wars. But they released two different gameplay trailers, and they are both incredible. I showed Dave them. Dave, as mentioned on this podcast before, hasn't seen Star Wars, or at least in a very, 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 very long time. So Dave, how did these trailers seem to you?
Well, first off, before I saw the trailers, I heard Tommy's reaction to watching the trailers first. So already it was a bit hype, because there was one you were going to show me, and then there was one that you only just discovered when you searched for the one to show me. So I could hear Tommy over Skype like screaming about how much he was like audibly very excited about what he was seeing. And then he linked me to the trailers, and I've got to say, like, as Tommy said, like, I've seen bits of the original Star Wars. I saw like some of the prequels at the cinema when I was quite young. So like I still need to sit down and properly experience Star Wars properly. However, watching the trailer for this game, I really want to play it. I really, really want to play it. And this is coming from someone who has little to none Star Wars knowledge. Like most of my Star Wars knowledge comes from parodies of Star Wars. So, but watching this game, it looks. Other than the fact that I'm for all the walkthroughs of mine you watch, I'm a sucker for the way something looks. Like I would wear armor in a game that protects me less if it looks better. So I watched the trailer for this, and I gotta say, it looks beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Not just in the visuals, but the way it runs. Like we were talking about the physics of the enemies, the way they fall. Like, it isn't just a standard animation. Like, it just looks beautiful. The fact that there was this war going on, there was this chaos, but it wasn't just in the distance. Like, what's the name of those big like robotic camels? What are they called?
Well, the ATSTs. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, the AT-ATs.
AT-ATs, is that what it's called? Like, they're basically like massive robotic camels.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So
As some people call them, but I think
Yeah.
I can't say it properly, so I'll just say AT-AT.
AT-ATs. I'll just say that as well, because I don't want to. I'm already butcher names enough. So the AT-ATs, like, you're running across this beautiful snowy terrain, and as always, links in descriptions to these two trailers. And not only is it like, absolutely fantastic and beautiful to look at with these great physics as well, as Tommy described perfectly when he first showed me to it, it looks like you're not watching a game. You can. I know people always say that when they're trying to say that something looks good, but you can easily mistake it for like a film. And as you're running along this scenery, playing this combat game,
it's a film with a HUD. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, essentially, you got these AT-ATs. Like, you got to watch your step because one of them might tread on you. It is fantastic. I watched that. It was the first game in a sort of a war environment where I actually felt like you were in the thick of it. Most of the times when I play, whether it be some Call of Duty game or a Battlefield game or what have you, I feel like I'm playing a level in the game. Watching that, and it was a multiplayer trailer as well, it felt like I was in the middle of a war zone. I was watching that, and I forgot I was watching a game trailer, and I was waiting to see what happened. And then I was like, oh yeah, this is just somebody playing a game. Like, there isn't a what happens, it's however you want to play it. But yeah, like, I'm extremely pumped, like, to play that. And it was what the best thing at the start as well is just before the trailer went, they said this is in-game footage caught on a PS4. So this wasn't a cinematic trailer. This wasn't a cutscene to get you excited for a game. It was gameplay, and it was just it was beautiful. And if that's coming from someone who isn't a Star Wars fan, or at least hasn't seen it, Tommy, I can imagine he is just can't wait to express his love.
Honestly, Dave, I don't know that I can express my love.
No?
I don't know that there's any words in the English language that express how excited I am for not just this game, not just this next film, but just the future of Star Wars in general. There aren't words. I'm sorry.
I think I might be able to sum it up in a phrase, and that would be Star Wars is love, Star Wars is life. And now I can just see one of these AT-ATs flying out window. But oh man, they were both very. They're just. I say beautiful. Like, obviously, when it comes to gameplay, like, when it comes to games, it isn't just about gameplay. It's not just about the way it looks. It is about gameplay. It's about the mechanics. It's the flow of it. It's not just the way it looks. But god damn, it's such a beautiful game. It really is.
Helps.
Yeah, and it
really does help to have that look there.
It does, and there was like little things as well, like small things that make such a difference, like the lighting that was in the trailer as well, the way it reflected off the rocks and the scenery. It wasn't just like it was copied and pasted over and over again. It looked like every single rock had all these tiny crevices and holes, like they'd actually been there for years and years and years and been worn down. And if you were looking up and shooting one of these big AT-ATs and the sun was nearby, your vision was kind of hampered because the light was so bright. It wasn't like a lighting in game where it's just like this yellow light or this white light. It felt like this bright, hot light, which you actually get if you go out on a really bright summer's day and the ground sometimes sort of reflects the light back up at you. That's what it felt like watching this trailer. It didn't just feel like, oh, that's lighting from the sun. It was so bright, it actually felt like real life lighting. It was one of those things that I've never noticed was an issue in games until I saw it done right in this trailer. And then I was like, yeah, like I just realised that other games don't do this, and they really should. But like the whole thing, it really does.
Another exciting part is that this game does tie into the cinematic universe now. It's all going to be canon. So in one of those trailers, the one that's more on a desert planet, a planet called a new planet in the Star Wars universe called Jakku, you see a Star Destroyer crashing into the ground. And if you've seen the second Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens teaser trailer, you see a Star Destroyer crash into the ground. So you're going to be learning in this game how that happened and what battle took place for that to happen. So everything that happens takes place in the universe, is the history of that universe, and that's incredibly exciting to me.
Yeah, definitely. So, and as you said, it's both a good thing and a bad thing because not only is it fantastic and like you're gonna get all these games anyway, but then now to a certain extent you have to get these games because otherwise you're not. And that bit you just spoke about, I'm watching the trailer now actually because I wanted to watch it again. But that bit you were saying about it being like shot out of the sky and crashing, like so it's like at one point you're gonna read or see that in another film or another part of this canon universe, and then play the multiplayer, and then there it is, and you're seeing it from different perspectives, so it's kind of cool. But it just looks fantastic. It really does. I can't think of anything else to say just to express that it does look good. But I say links in the descriptions. Go down and watch it. And if you're listening,
so Dave, did EA have anything for you? This E3.
Well, it's funny you mentioned because they did have something that got me very, very, very excited. So for all of you guys who have been a subscriber to mine for any length of time, or even if you're fairly new to this channel, you know there is one particular franchise I am hugely excited in, and that is the Mass Effect universe. I love Mass Effect. The Mass Effect trilogy walkthrough I did is hands down one of my favourite walkthroughs of my entire channel. The game franchise itself, I think, is just so perfectly made. The story is, there are very few games I could say where I genuinely cared about the lives of the characters, more so than some TV shows I watch or some movies. Like, I cared about the lives of every single one of my squad mates, and it's a testament of how well the storytelling was in those games, and the attention to details, to the minor changes that could affect you later on. It was fantastic. However, with the trilogy done and dusted, the next question was always going to be what happened next? What's going to be the next Mass Effect? Where is this franchise going? And finally, at E3, they released a cinematic trailer for what was only originally called The Next Mass Effect. They were always adamant that it's not Mass Effect 4. It's a brand new Mass Effect series. And finally, we have a name, and we had a cinematic trailer for Mass Effect Andromeda. And it was everything I wanted it to be. Like, bear in mind, all it is cinematics. There is no gameplay. There is no hint at what the story could be. There's nothing. It is just an announcement of, okay, in holiday season, like Christmas season 2016, this game is going to come out. And this is a slight taster at what we've sort of worked at so far. And I think it was done beautifully. Like, obviously, say, links in the description. If you're listening to this on iTunes, check out the video on YouTube. The link will be there. Definitely check out the Mass Effect trailer, because there was, I believe it was Johnny Cash playing like this Western feel music playing. Meanwhile, whoever your character is, I'm assuming, I think they even went out and said that the character you're seeing in the trailer isn't the protagonist. That's just a character, for argument's sake. And he's flicking through, looking at all these sceneries, just moving the screen across. One's like this really rocky, deserty looking place. Another one's this barren, looks like it could be like on a moon or a meteor. And you see this creature flying, this massive creature, kind of look like things from the Avengers, actually. Well, like the Jatari ships. It looked like one of them floating, and he's flicking through, looking at all these landscapes with this like Western Johnny Cash music playing, and it had almost like a Firefly feel to it. That you're in space, but you feel like it's like you're like a space cowboy essentially, and it had that sort of feel to it, which was absolutely awesome. It's one of the main things I loved about Mass Effect, that you were this ragtag of group of people that have just came together because of the circumstances that you found yourselves in, and not necessarily going up against the universe, but just solving your day-to-day problems. And that's one of the things they came out and they said, that this Mass Effect isn't going to be on a universal scale like the last one was. It was like save the galaxy or we're all dead. This is going to be, from what I've heard, a lot more localized. Like, there's still going to be maybe a problem to a world or maybe a problem to a system, but it's not going to be like the whole universe is going to be destroyed if you don't save this thing. And this trailer depicted that perfectly. He just had this music playing with this guy searching through all these planets, picks one, travels there, which looked absolutely beautiful, and then you see a very quick cinematic of not only the new Mako, but these towers being erected as your character, and what was noted to be a Krogan and a Turian standing behind him, all running towards shooting their guns, and it just looked beautiful. It looks absolutely beautiful. I'm just, now something's finally been revealed, I'm so excited. Like, before it seemed like this long distance thing in the future that I'm hoping and I'm dreaming about, but I never know when it's going to happen. Now we have a date, like we have at least a time it's coming out, holiday 2016, and we've seen some cinematic. It's real now, and it's coming, And I'm so excited. I can imagine this is how you feel about Star Wars. Like, this is my Star Wars
Pretty
game.
much.
Yeah, this is my Star Wars game. And now I can start counting down the days. I can start speculating, and I can start wishing my life away until this game comes out. But it just looks fantastic. As I say, links in the description. Definitely check it out. I mean, if you follow my channel, then you've already seen I've liked, shared, favorited, tweeted it, retweeted it, and shared it on every platform available. So you've probably already seen it. But man, so pumped. And it looks exactly what Mass Effect should be. The fact that it is just you searching through the galaxies, just like your ship and your small crew just find, like, it's what I wanted this next one to be. Like, not such a universal, we're the defender of the galaxy. Like, this is just me, this is my ship, I've got a small crew. But then as you're going on these little missions, as you're exploring the galaxy, finding new locations, new worlds, you pick up people who come along with you along the way. And it's just, it looks fantastic. It looks like they're doing exactly what they should. The graphical and gameplay, obviously far advanced, but the graphical and gameplay capabilities of Mass Effect 3, along with the storytelling and exploration of Mass Effect 1, and hopefully the companions and squad mates that of like how Mass Effect 2 did that so well. Because like it's the way I feel like I'm rambling quite a bit, but I feel like that's how they did it. Like Mass Effect 1, the exploration and story was fantastic. Mass Effect 2, the companionship of you and your squad was awesome, and number 3, the gameplay was spot on. And I feel like looking, and from all the stuff that's been leaked and from all the stuff that we've seen that they've released, it looks like this is a perfect combination of the 3 of those things: the companionship, the gameplay, and the exploration. It just looks, I'm pumped. Obviously, I'm so excited. So, do you have any thoughts, Tommy?
Yeah.
Despite all that I've just gone on about.
You pretty much covered a lot of what I'm excited about for it, but one thing you didn't say that does get me excited is the name of it, Andromeda. Andromeda is just the name of another galaxy other than the Milky Way that's just bigger and more vast, which I think is going to say a lot for what this next game is going to be. It's going to be bigger and it's going to be more vast, and I can't be more excited for that.
Yeah, very true. And that's one of the things that people were not worried about, but constantly speculating. Because obviously the well-known and well-spoke about ending to Mass Effect 3 that a lot of people disliked, didn't like, and they thought it ruined the franchise. And even though they've created hundreds of hours of fantastic, memorable, lovable content, apparently those 5 minutes ruined the whole thing, according to some Mass Effect fans. I couldn't disagree more. Like, I feel just because that happened, that doesn't take away from how great the entire trilogy was. But the one thing that a lot of people were wondering about, and I was myself, was how are they going to carry on? Because are they going to make it a prequel? And if it's not a prequel, how are they going to deal with the 3 different choices at the end? Like, how is this next game going to carry on from those 3 choices? And I think they answered that perfectly. It's sometime in the future. They haven't mentioned how far in the future. Sometime in the future in an entire different universe. They've expanded, they've gone out of the system that they were in before, which housed all their galaxies and all of their systems and all their worlds, and they have travelled far beyond that, and now they are exploring new systems, places that are far out of the reach of what would have happened when they did the effects of Mass Effect 3. Like, the Reapers were doing what they were doing, but it was just in that universe, in that, I don't know what the exact term for it is, like that cluster of galaxies. I'm not sure what the exact term is, but the Reapers only affected that. Obviously, hundreds and hundreds of years in the future, their technologies have advanced, and now they're going to investigate universes and systems that they've never even been to before, where even the Reapers weren't a part of. So the effects of what they did in Mass Effect 3 wouldn't have reached that far. So I think that should answer. I mean, there's always going to be little bits you can nitpick and go, well, wouldn't the people who are travelling that far still have these blah, 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 blah. So you could still nitpick, but I think it's the best way of answering that question. And as they've said, it's a brand new story. Like, it's completely new. So I'm pumped to see it. There was one thing, actually, during the captain's quarters, I was talking about this a little bit, and which is hard for me to do, but I spoke about it a little bit. And there was one thing that I just came up with at the top of my head, and I thought was fantastic. Like he said, in the new game, it's brand new characters, brand new quests, everything's brand new. However, there might be tidbits of information, maybe like in archives, where they might talk about the Battle of the Citadel, or the first human to go into this brand new universe. And obviously there is going to be some talk of Shepard in maybe like archived things that you find out and you can read about, like in maybe if they've got like a new version of the Citadel, like in this new universe, their new central hub, there might be an archive where you can find out this old stuff. I thought, wouldn't it be cool, like if Asari lived for like 1,000 years, how cool would it be if there was a really, really old Liara, like a matriarch Liara, or maybe a record of matriarch Liara, like maybe she passed a couple of 100 years ago or something like that, because in Mass Effect I think she was only just 100 years old, which is like an infant in the terms of the Asari. So you think how far the humans had advanced in just a couple of 100 years. Imagine how far they've advanced in 800 years, 900 years. That would be enough time for them to develop further enough to go to a new universe, in which point Liara could still be alive. So I just thought, how cool would that be if either she's an old matriarch or she's just passed and there's still records of matriarch to Sony. Like, how awesome would that be? What a nice little shout out to, like,
it'd be fascinating. I'd love to see that.
That'd be cool, because they've always said that this is going to be brand new. Like, there will be references, maybe, here and there, to older characters, but I think that'd be cool, because if Liara was only 100, and it's been under 1,000 years since they've discovered this new stuff, maybe if she had just passed, there would still be recent records of her as a matriarch. Like, I just think stuff like that would be cool. But, yeah, obviously I'm extremely excited about this game, so...
Yeah,
I suppose I better get my calendar and start doing that, like stereotypical thing when people are like trying to give up smoking and they're putting X's on each day on the calendar as they're working their way down to holiday 2016. But oh man, now I've just said all that.
Well, like me with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I might start tweeting at what's his face, Casey Hudson. Below, coming down. He's getting closer. But yeah, with that being said and done, was there anything else you wanted to talk about before we wrap this bad boy up?
No, there was not.
All right. Oh, cool. Fair enough. So, do you know what? One thing I realised, we never actually spoke about what we've been up to in recent things. But in saying that, have we been up to much?
Luckily, not a lot.
No,
no, not really.
No, oh, fair enough. Yeah, not me either, really. I started reading Uncanny X-Men, which Uncanny Avengers even, which started off. It started off really, really boring, and then just when I was getting to the point where I wanted to stop reading, it picked it up big time. It got so much better. Like the last 5 or 6 issues, everything culminated. And it got awesome, but before that, the first 15 issues, man, they were lackluster. They were really getting kind of old. It kind of it felt like it was all the Avengers that weren't busy, so they put them in this team, like like Wonder Man and Wasp and that sort of stuff. And I was just like, okay, like Rogue, and I was just like, alright, I don't really care, but hey ho, but yeah. So anyway, with that being said and done. Sorry, carry on. What was you going to say?
No. I was just going to say that you guys have now heard the things that excited me and Dave most out of E3. So drop in the comments below what excited you guys both most. And obviously, if you want to, you can try and work out the link between Forrest Whitaker and Christopher Lee for next time's episode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so just let us know. What were you most excited about E3? Like, it doesn't just have to be the things we spoke about. There's loads of stuff that came out about E3 that we have not even touched on. So many great things that came out of E3. So just let us know what excited you most, or what it is you're looking forward to most, even if it wasn't announced at E3. So, but yeah, other than that, if you really want to task your brain, Forrest Whitaker to Christopher Lee. Try and do it in 6 steps or more. And as they say, that's always between an actor, the film they are in, and then the actor that was in that film, a link that way, or maybe if it's a sibling or a loved one of another actor, you can link that sort of way. So, but yeah, we'll leave that for you guys next week, and we'll go through and answer that one at the start of next week as well. But with that being said, my name's Dave.
I'm Tommy.
You're Tommy? You're Tommy? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I am Dave, and that is Tommy. Good, yeah, just make sure we definitely got that down. And until next time, we'll catch you guys later.